Hello there, Ben Bowers, the Spirit Specialist, and I am here to talk to you about Three Wrens Apple Crumble Gin. Three Wrens, a relatively new distillery to the market, and Apple Crumble Gin, pretty much one of a kind in the industry at the moment. But before I go into what it tastes like, let me give you a little bit of information about the brand and distillery itself. The Three Wrens distillery is based in Cholmondeley, Cheshire, and the only reason I know how to pronounce that word properly is thanks to the character created by Harry Enfield. It was founded in August 2019 by Nick Wadeson. Nick had previously worked as a mixologist, bar owner and brand manager before realising a long-term dream to create his own brand of gin. A handmade copper pot still named Valerie is used for production, and all of the gins are single shot, meaning dilution only uses water as opposed to a combination with a neutral spirit. And each batch they run produces around 100 bottles. As well as an original dry gin, Three Wrens also features a range of different flavour additions. These are created by macerating various ingredients in the wheat-based spirit before re-distilling to gin. Those ingredients in the main are locally sourced from the fields and forests surrounding the distillery. Three Wrens Apple Crumble edition is bottled at 40% and is also a world first. It took a year for Nick to experiment with various ingredients in order to create the best flavour profile while still being light and drinkable. Local Cheshire apples, orange peel, demerara sugar and cinnamon are used to evoke an apple pie note, but it's the use of macerating actual toasted oats that develop the distinctive crumble feel. Right then, so let me try and give you an indication of what the Apple Crumble Gin tastes like. Now the reason I've got this on the shelf is actually thanks to the power of social media. My wife was trawling through Facebook and an ad popped up midway through her feed which featured these bottles. She really liked the look of the bottles, she liked the sound of the gin. To be honest, she's not actually that much of a gin drinker either, but she was very intrigued, so she asked me to get in touch to see if I could potentially get it into the shop. They sent me some samples, I tried them. I'll be honest, when I saw the range, I was thinking, well, is this a bit of a gimmick, particularly Apple Crumble? They have a bison grass edition, they have a raspberry that is finished in Modena balsamic vinegar casks, they do a rhubarb edition, and it was like, yes, there's plenty of flavoured gins, but is this really all that? Let's get some samples, let's give it a try. If it's any good, I'll get it on the shelf. And I'll be honest, this absolutely blew me away. I'm genuinely stunned at how good this is for what looks to be a gimmicky, quirky flavour that actually tastes like you would hope it would. Because there are plenty of cakey type of gins that are just sickly sweet and cloying and artificial and really not pleasant to drink at all, and you've got to bang loads of tonic in just to get rid of that artificial sickly sweetness that's in there. And this, hand on heart, really amazes me, genuinely. So let's see if I can give you an idea of why it's blown me away. But the bottles I think are absolutely gorgeous. The bison grass, you can see behind there, is frosted. They're all frosted bottles of various colours, so they really do kind of pop out on a shelf. So this has apparently won a gold medal at the World Gin Awards last year, I believe. Yeah, that should be enough. I don't want to go too much. So, Cheshire apples, the cinnamon, demerara sugar, giving you that kind of like apple pie, apple cake feel. And it was the crumble element that apparently Nick was really struggling with. So what he did was macerate toasted oats in the spirit. And it's not going to pick up on here, and I actually only noticed it on the miniature rather than a glass of gin itself. But there is a slight haziness to the gin, and particularly on a miniature, I mean, my eyesight is absolutely terrible, so I'm going to see if I can see it through there. There is, and if you're not aware of this, it might be a little bit off-putting. There is a slight sediment in there. Sort of within the gin, if you sort of mix it around a bit, you can see these elements in there, and that is actually, I'm fairly certain, it's particles of the toasted oats that are still within it. So they've not filtered it, they are literally diluting it down but not doing any filtration to it. But what it is showing you is that there is actual kind of like ingredients that have been used in this that are macerated that are still kind of lingering in the drink, but I do believe that is what is adding to the flavour. So on the nose, apple comes through, really fresh apple, kind of like apple juice. But there is two layers to this nose, and this is where that crumble element comes in, and this is what really surprised me. Straight off the bat on the nose before even trying it is you get apple, fresh apple, light, really kind of like spring, summer, appley freshness. And underneath that there is a second level, which is this crumble. And I don't know how he's done it, but it really is crumble. We're not talking pie, we're not talking bread or anything like that. It's that slightly sweet, sugary, crumbly pastry. It's that lovely oatiness. It's a bit like a hobnob biscuit. And it really is 2 layers to that nose that work absolutely brilliantly together. The nose is so impressive for what it says on there. You're looking at that going, apple crumble gin? Yeah, okay, all right, you know, do me a favour, let's see how it really is. Oh, wait a minute, it does actually smell like genuinely apple crumble. Right, on the palate, it's not as pronounced as it is on the nose. It's a bit more gentle. The freshness of the apple that's on the nose isn't quite as intense on the palate. It's dialed down a little bit. And the sweet, crumbly pastryness, again, isn't quite as intense on the nose, but it is there. It's more on the background, so you start off with a soft apple, slightly creamy, whereas it's fresh on the nose, it's a creamy apple note that's on the palate initially, and then the crumble element starts to come in at the back, but it's not overpowering, it doesn't take over or replace, it's not sickly sweet. It works really well, but it's more subtle on the palate than it is on the nose, and to be honest, I think that's probably for the best, because it makes it more drinkable. And what is helping is the intensity of the nose, that real kind of juxtaposition of apple and crumble, and it really is there, is inviting you to drink it even more, going, yes, this is an apple crumble gin. You do get that slight soft spice, you get the sweetness from the demerara sugar. Again, it's not cloying. I can imagine after a while it will get a little bit, not sickly, but I don't think you really want a lot of this. And this is me talking about drinking the gin neat. So if any of you are out there that are drinking your spirits neat, whatever spirits they are, which I do tend to do, to be honest, this is a gin that if you were drinking it neat might get a little bit kind of like, no, I could do with something a little bit zingier, just it's starting to sit a bit. But to be honest, that's like going to be a big glass of it, and you really shouldn't be drinking that much anyway. In terms of mixing, you need to be careful with what tonic you're doing with this, because there are some flavoured tonics out there that are not going to work. Like the aromatic Fever Tree, it's got a sour edge to it. It's going to combat this. You need to, if you can, if you've got some different tonics at home and you wanted to mix it with, and lemonade, ginger ale works really well with this, to be honest. Tonics, you're going to have to play around with which tonic works for you with this. Lemonade, it's sweeter, so it's sort of working, but depending on how good your lemonade is, how sweet that lemonade is, that can overpower the crumble element of this. It sort of takes over the demerara sugar element and makes it maybe a little bit too sweet. But ginger ale, not really fiery ginger ale, so I'm talking about something like the Fever Tree ginger ale as opposed to the ginger beer, so the orange one that's a bit softer and a bit sweeter. And even the spiced ginger ale and the spiced orange ginger ale that Fever Tree do works brilliantly with this, because it really accentuates the crumbly flavours in here, combines well with the apple and doesn't really dominate, and actually works quite well as a partner. What I would also say is it works brilliantly in cocktails. They have one called a toasted apple sour, which I have made. So if you follow me on Facebook, if you kind of trawl through my Facebook feed, I did make this one night and it was absolutely incredible. Basically, this with lemon juice, and I think it was a little touch of sugar syrup, works really well if you put a bit of amaretto in it as well, and basically egg white to froth it up, or if you can get some Mizbetta's Bitters Miraculous Foamer, and then you don't even have to use an egg white, a couple of drops of that in, shake that up so it's nice and frothy and creamy, but you get a lovely kind of like apple pie, apple crumble, creamy, it's almost like an apple crumble and custard element because of the egg white or the foamer that you're using to kind of give it a nice silkiness. Phenomenal cocktail, absolutely amazing. Like I say, if you had a little drop of amaretto in it as well, that really just lifts everything up. I am genuinely amazed at how good this gin is, because as I said earlier, I was dismissive of it, sort of getting in touch with them going, can I try it, because basically my wife has told me to, but as always, she's right. So, you know, that's the way it goes. It does exactly what it says on the tin. It says apple crumble gin on the label, and it is a gin that tastes exactly of apple crumble. They've done a fantastic job here. I'm really, really genuinely impressed about how, and clearly a lot of work's been put into this to try and get that flavour profile absolutely bang on. And he's nailed it. You really have nailed it there. Fantastic stuff. It is on my shelf for $39.99. It is available through our web store, which is www.spiritspecialist.com. So you can order online. We have UK nationwide delivery. Our shop is open even during this time of recording, where we're just towards the end of a lockdown with any luck, but we are open and trading, so you're more than welcome to come in. I do have a little bit to try if you do want to try it, but honestly, if you like apple crumble, if you like gin, I'll just get it. It's absolutely fantastic stuff. Thank you very much for watching, and I shall see you in the next video. Cheers.